Today's show is brought to you by Dr. Light's Robotic Repair. Visit our website for mega deals. Our prices rock, man.
I want you to get me fresh beer.
You serious?
Hello and welcome to Nerds on Tap. This is a podcast where we talk about nerdy things and drink beer. I'm Joseph.
I'm Chris.
And I'm Jim.
Yes. And what else?
We drink beer.
I said that.
That's right. So what are we drinking? Joseph, since you did the intro, I volunteer you go first because I know what you're drinking.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
Since it's just past the holidays, I went with a holiday beer, a Belgium beer, Scaldis Noël.
And it makes its return.
Yeah.
Where did you hear about that one?
Back with a vengeance.
I didn't hear about it anywhere. I just saw it. I was like, you know what? I want a good holiday beer, and it needs to be strong. This one's 12+%, I think it says on it. So it might be 12.5 even. I don't know. I'm excited. See where it goes from here.
It's going to hurt.
I have to drink at least two of mine in the time you drank that one to get even close.
Normally, I'm just drinking like 4 or 5%. So yeah, it'd be like 2.5 just to get where this one's going to get me. We'll see.
I like it.
Haven't tasted it yet, so I'll explain all that after I pour it out and whatnot. So what are you guys drinking?
You want me to go
there,
next?
Chris? What do you got there, buddy?
All right. So last week for the holidays, I went to visit my parents in St. Louis, and on our way back, we stayed over at this place in Rockford, Illinois, and we found a bar called Alchemy. It was a bar that had pizza and all kinds of drinks and stuff.
Yeah,
and
I saw
got a
that
beer
you
there.
you checked into that.
Yeah,
It sounded interesting.
it was really cool. And I got a beer there on tap called Two Cream Stout, and it's by Dark Horse Brewing, which is a brewery in Michigan. And
Also an
it was
indie comic
probably
company.
the best beer I've ever had. It's a stout, but it's really creamy. It's delicious. It's probably my favorite beer now. And I came home and realized that I had one in my fridge that I had never had. Just because I go to the liquor store and the local liquor store has the make your own 6-packs, so you get like a old 6-pack container and you just put whatever in there and check out. So I do that all the time. So most of the stuff is things I haven't heard of or never tried before. But I got one not knowing I had it. So I'm going to be drinking this. I've got kind of a hodgepodge of stuff today, but I've got a couple of different beers from the same brewery. So that is what I'm going for. And I dropped my bottle opener. 2 seconds. I can't find
Luckily,
it. I found it.
I didn't need a bottle opener. I got cans today.
Cans of what?
Cans of what? There's a brewery I'm right by the Twin Cities, in case you didn't know. There is a brewery in Minneapolis called Indeed Brewing Company. Apparently, they have one of the largest tap rooms in Minnesota. And I haven't been, but I kind of discovered them because my wife went on a booze cruise, and that was for her work. And I was able to go. We were able to bring spouses. So it was mostly wine, but then the second floor was all beer. So you could just go through and try as many beers as you wanted. Yeah, it was awesome. So this was one of the companies, and I didn't try this one because the ones I did try, my local liquor store never has. So like every time I go to get it, they never have it. So I wanted to do the same company. So I grabbed this. It's called Sweet Yamma Jamma.
I like it.
Their cans are always really intricate.
That's actually really cool.
But it's an ale brewed with sweet potatoes and spices. So this is totally their fall beer.
That sounds fucking awesome.
Sweet potatoes. I've never heard of that before. That's crazy.
Yeah, so they kind of brewed it to. You can tell it's really light and crisp. You can get that sweet potato in it. I don't get so much of the spices, but you can definitely tell that they they deliberately made this so you can drink it with a big meal. So it's not one of those beers that's gonna like, fill you up. So it complements a lot of things.
Cool.
Actually, we had sushi last night and I drank one and it really went really well. And it's a nice, ambery
Nice. Yeah.
midway. Yeah.
That looks good.
It's really, really good. I was pleasantly surprised.
What's the alcohol percentage on it?
It's only 5%.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a real light one.
I just noticed that mine is 7.5, so I'm gonna be having a good time.
Yeah,
so mine's
hang in
pretty
there in
dark.
between.
It's very dark,
That one is really dark.
and even the foam on it is still dark too, which is kind of crazy because I don't see that happen very often. But
Yeah, mine seems closer to Joe's.
Yeah, I can see you guys in the reflection of
mine
this
looks
one.
like coffee.
Yeah.
Actually,
No, and
it's
that's-
got a little bit of hint of coffee to it too.
When I went to go get the one that I wanted to get from this brewing company was like their breakfast one
Oh,
that has coffee in it, and it's so good. It's like
good.
something. I remember the name of it. It's like something wood, and I know every time I go, they always have the black ale, which is the one I tried where I didn't really like it. It was way too dark, and I
wait,
usually
is
like
it called Morningwood? The
Yes.
beer?
That's the breakfast one. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So there's a bar out here called Grizzlies in Duluth, and they carry it there. And I've never had it because I'm only usually there at night, and I have a lot of problems with caffeine, so I'm always afraid to drink it, especially because I always go there like on work nights, so I got to go to work the next morning. I'm like, well, I can't drink this one. So one of these days I'm going to get there and try it.
It's damn good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And plus, every time I saw it, I always started cracking up, and then I'm like, I would ask for Morningwood.
Mine's it's like a red amber ale. It's really actually like as strong as it is. I thought it would be more alcohol-y, but it's has a strong hit to it, and then it tastes kind of sweet-ish, like almost caramel and fruitish.
Yeah, I've had that. It's
fucking
pretty
good.
and it
Yeah.
hurts.
Like this
After a
is
while.
dangerous. Yeah, because like 12%. Like I know that I could just like plow through these with how surprisingly light it is. So I don't know. It's gonna be a fun night.
If you drank that and held a lighter up to your mouth, you would become Scorpion from Mortal Kombat. Just
There you go. What?
Way to tie them together, Chris.
I'd be
fire.
beaten
yeah,
by-
See, I bring it all full circle.
I'd be beaten by Jason Bourne though, so I don't want to be Scorpion.
I get my head blown up by Jason.
Yeah,
Bourne.
fuck
I
that.
opened it with my
I've had
little seal beer opener, bottle opener. It's
Broke the
a
seal with a seal.
You
there
broke
you
the
go.
seal.
It's a Smutty Nose Brewing Company actually distributes this, so
That's pretty
a
cool.
little plug to them for making
I need
fucking
to
awesome
get a
bottle
cool
openers.
bottle opener. I just have the same one that during the first episode I kept playing with it. So if during that episode, if you hear little clicking noises, that's me playing with the bottle opener, and then I cut myself with it
You did.
while we were
I
recording.
remember that.
So,
You're so
fun.
drunk too.
yeah, that wasn't very fun.
Well, like what happened on the holidays, guys? Like what nerdy things did you guys do?
Okay, I'll start first. So I got a lot of nerdy gifts. All pretty much thanks to my wife because she got me a bunch of really nerdy stuff and told everyone else what to get me. So that was awesome. So I didn't get anything that sucked except for I got some things of clothes that were a little questionable from other people. But the big things, I'll hold some stuff up for the people watching on YouTube. By the way, if you only hear the audio portion of this, we have a YouTube channel where you can see us, our pretty faces. And there's a lot
2
of
out of 3
extra-
beards.
I'm so
Yeah, you
sorry.
can see our
2 out of 3 beards.
and glasses when I'm wearing my glasses.
It's 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
But there's a lot of extra content in the videos that aren't in the audio portions.
And
so check those out.
Conversely, if you only watch the videos, please subscribe to the audio stuff because it's gonna make more sense. It's gonna be nicer. It's gonna be better overall quality. The videos is a raw stuff. It's pretty unedited. So if it looks like it sucks, listen to it. It might not sound like it sucks.
It's completely different. It sounds like it's almost a different podcast because you watch the
Yeah.
video and I pause in between things I say a lot because I'm not smart enough to say things really fast. So
Plus, we're
you don't
drinking. I
hear
mean,
that?
that's yeah. I mean, it's not going to sound totally professional. There's alcohol involved. By the time we
Lots.
get to part 2, it's
Oh man,
you start slurring stuff together.
It's just a whole nother animal.
the
You know
battles
what?
are always
I've
awesome.
noticed, and some other people pointed out to me, I always sound drunk. when I talk,
Doesn't
I
matter what.
always sound like
Yeah.
I'm slurring, and even when I'm not drunk, that is apparently how I sound.
If I was a police officer and I pulled you over, I would give you the test every fucking time.
This is
I
probably why I've
it
been
wouldn't
pulled
matter.
over a lot.
Well, that's because you look ethnic.
Yeah, well, that too. I always get caught at airports too. They always test me for gunpowder residue every time. Every time. It's not a
they just
random
wanna fill
search
you
if you
up.
get me every time, guys.
They just want to fill you up.
Jerks.
You need to continue what you did that was nerdy in holidays. We went off the
Yes.
rails there.
Oh yeah.
So, one of the things I'm more excited for than the other stuff is something my wife got me, which is Cowboy Bebop on Blu-ray,
Oh shit.
which got delivered to our house the day it came out because she pre-ordered it and made sure it was getting delivered like that day, and that was the night that we actually opened our gifts too because we were doing it early since we were going to be out of town. So I'm really excited for that. She's never seen it before and she really wants to watch it, so I'm pretty excited to get her into it. So it's definitely one of my favorite animes of all time, and I think honestly probably one of the best that has ever been made. So I'm very excited for that.
Oh yeah.
Let's see what else did I get here. Got Guardians of the Galaxy, of course.
Of course.
You didn't
Got
buy
that.
that the second it came out? Come on.
I didn't because
You're
I
not a real
expected
fan.
we would get it. So,
Oh yeah.
but I've now seen it 6 times. But my sister-in-law gave me that, so we were pretty excited, and it was actually cool because we watched it with my wife's family, her whole family. We all sat down and watched it, and then we got to my family's Christmas a couple of days later, and then my whole family sat down and watched it. So that was pretty cool. Especially because there's people on both sides that are definitely not really into that kind of stuff, but everybody loved it. Like there wasn't anyone that didn't like this movie, so that was really cool to see. So
It's a
Yeah.
crossover hit.
oh, absolutely, it was great. I also got Winter Soldier from my mother-in-law, which she lost it and kept saying, "Oh, you have another gift somewhere, and I don't know where it is." She's like, "Well, that's cool, I guess." So then we left, and I went to a used bookstore and found it. I'm like, "Oh, I'm gonna buy it," and Jackie's like, "Don't buy it. That's your gift that she lost." But then she found it, so now we're good. My parents got me Star Wars on Blu-ray, the complete saga, which is something I wanted to get for a long time, but couldn't justify spending the money. So I let someone else justify it by spending the money on me.
I found it on sale, and I did it because I wanted to show it to my son Enver, and
Nice.
I think I felt it was time, so we sat and watched them all in a couple of days. So
Did
That's
you
awesome.
watch? Did you watch
He-
them
he
in
would-
order, or?
I can't remember. No, I think we watched them in order.
So I heard
He's only 2, so he just
Okay.
he liked the lightsaber stuff. So
he
Gotcha.
loves Jar Jar Binks.
no response to Jar Jar Binks at all. He's all about R2D2, of which he calls boop boop.
Boop boop.
He just calls him boop boop.
Awesome.
So now every time we see R2D2, we're like, oh, dude, boop boop.
So I heard somebody was talking about this, and it was a different way to watch these movies, and I think that's how we're going to do it because we haven't watched it yet. And that was start with A New Hope, and then watch Empire Strikes Back, and then completely ignore the Phantom Menace and go into Episode 2 instead, and then go into Episode 3, and then do Return of the Jedi very last. So it's kind of like you get into Empire, you find out a little more about Vader, and you find out that he's Luke's dad. And then going into Jedi, it goes back and you see Vader's story before you get to the end, which is Return of the Jedi, which I think is kind of cool. So I'm going to try that.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't make sense to do it episode 1 to 5 or 1 to 6 because it ruins a lot of the surprises if you haven't seen
Exactly.
the original trilogy. It's stupid. It's almost like he's like, oh, you already know that because it's like, oh, I'm gonna go see this Yoda in Dagobah if he even exists. Well, if you watch it in order, you already know he exists because he's in all 3 of the first movies. It's like
Exactly.
Oh,
So-
yeah.
once Enver's older, we're gonna do the first 3 and then the prequels.
Yeah,
There you go.
man. Do it right. Man, also
Dumb.
the fact that the new Marvel Star Wars comic book series is coming out, like they're
Yeah.
basically errating everything that happened in the Dark Horse comic Star Wars series.
Yeah.
Like, it's just none of it existed anymore. It's like new comic or new distributor and new shit altogether. And that sucks. Like, I picked up some issues today actually from the Dark Horse line.
Yeah.
Because they're going for cheap now, especially digital. You can get them for like 50
Oh yeah,
plus percent off.
Comixology, it's super cheap.
Oh yeah. And
I think that ended today. Actually,
Really?
I think the last day was it still going on?
You know
or-
what? It might be true actually, because I picked them up from Movie Trading Company. They just had a ton of them over there, and I picked up some Jabba the Hutt comics because I was like, I don't know what the fuck these are going to be about, but I have to read them. Like,
I was
they
gonna say they
look great.
can't have a lot of action. He'd just be sitting in that same little
In one
parlor.
of them, he was in a pit, like a Sarlacc, or not a Sarlacc, like a Rancor pit, like he had Luke in, and he has a bone in his hand. I'm like, oh man, this is like Jabba action shit. So I have to know like how this is a series focused on him.
All I could see is him like just reaching into that bucket and then stuffing his face, and that is like the end of the comic.
Yeah, it's all just from his chair. He's narrating, maybe telling some adventures that never actually happened.
Since we talked about Star Wars, I got a chance to read the Star Wars because they had it at our library.
I really want to read that.
I did not like it.
Really?
I really
It's
didn't
too
like
it's
it.
too political and slow, isn't it?
It was so slow, yeah. And you know, it's way different. I mean, completely different from what the end product ended up being. So it's kind of cool to see where some of the ideas came from. But I'm really glad that it did not get made as a movie. So it would have been bad. It would not have worked.
No.
I think overall, though, as far as the extended universe goes, there's a lot of it that I don't mind it being gone. I just there's some of it that it was just so you could always kind of tell that they would approach a writer and they'd be like, hey, you just came up with this sci-fi book that's doing well or whatever. Would you ever want to write a Star Wars thing? And then they either like just came up with something off the fly that was so just out of left field, or they like probably already had like an outline of something that they shoehorned in, and it just doesn't fit. And it's like I don't want to hear about the Death Troopers, like zombie stormtroopers. That's fucking stupid. Like I just especially if you're gonna have it and then throw like Han and Chewie in it and stuff.
Yeah.
I remember when the Timothy Zahn books came out. My cousin and my two cousins who were way into Star Wars, they got two of them for me because they had read them and then they finished. And I remember reading the first one and I got to like Force sensitive pets, and I closed the book and said, "Fuck this!" This is like, I'm done. This is just stupid. I don't.
That is dumb.
So when they announced that they were jettisoning like all the EU, I was like, yes.
Yeah,
and then
I'm okay with it.
I kept being a total dick. I kept being a total dick and going on Facebook posts and just being like, yeah, it's all gone. Boba Fett's dead forever. He never crawled out of the Starlight Pit. He's dead as shit. Get over it.
Yeah.
Now watch, that's going to be the intro of the new movie, is him climbing out of the Starlight Pit.
He's dead as fuck.
Jim's going to be like, God damn it.
That's what that
Boba
black
Fett
trooper
isn't even that cool.
That's what that black trooper is shocked about, the fact that Boba Fett climbed out of the pit.
Oh.
He stood up
Fett's
like, oh my
alive.
gosh. How did this happen?
And then he's like, don't shoot.
Okay, real quick, I'm going to go over two more things I got real fast, and then we'll get on to
God, the
you
rest of
guys.
us did stuff too, Chris.
Oh,
No,
yeah,
you didn't do
come
shit.
on.
So the other stuff my wife got me, she got me a book written by Chris Hardwick, which is really awesome, and I'm really excited to read it about how he like got his life together and started Nerdist and all that stuff. So that'll be awesome. Jim, you froze on my camera for a minute.
You did
and
freeze
it
for a
was
second.
hilarious. You're like,
You froze mid-movement. See how you just like...
it was great.
Nice.
And the last thing I want to say is, so I got this giant thing. This is volume 1 of Buffy season 8, which is the
Joss
comic
Whedon?
by Joss Whedon and Brian K. Vaughan,
Brian K. Vaughan,
which is going to be amazing. So I'm super excited for that. And
I'm really, really hoping that after Joss is done with Marvel, well, doing what he's doing now with Marvel, I hope he does something with Brian K. Vaughan.
I
either
want him
bring
to,
it-
if he did Why the Last Man, holy shit.
Why the Last Man, he needs to be involved with that, or if they got some Runaways stuff going, like that shit's the bomb too. Like,
Yeah, that's true, because he wrote part of Runaways with Vaughn, so...
Well,
That would
I
be
think
awesome.
Vaughn started, and then
Yep, and then Joss took over because he was a
Yeah.
huge fan, and then Terry Moore, I think, took over for a while after Joss too. So
I love
it's
that.
tough.
I love that shit. That'd be a
So,
great TV show. That'd be a great. So would Why the Last Man. Why the Last Man would be an amazing,
yes.
like Showtime or HBO
Yeah. Oh
miniseries.
man, that'd be great.
Zachary Levi.
Right. Bunch of women. I mean, there's always women that they like. There's not enough women on TV. Well, how about one dude and a bunch
That one
of women?
show
Like,
would make up for everyone else.
take that, Sex in the City.
That was such a Miranda thing to say, Jim.
Awkward silence. Joe, what did you do over the holiday?
All right, somebody else talk.
I just said Joe.
Oh, okay.
Ruined my segue, Chris.
Joe, hurry up and start talking.
Fuck.
I got a lot of nerdy shit too. One thing was, well, a lot of Ninja Turtle stuff, just because everybody knows I like Ninja Turtles, so I get a ton of Ninja Turtle shit every year. It doesn't matter what it is. My dad got me like
So did my 2-year-old son.
Oh, I don't care.
kidding.
It's ageless. Ninja Turtles ageless.
I'm seriously, I'm so excited. I keep saying it. I'm so happy that it's still relevant. And the new show is fucking awesome.
Yes,
Like,
that's what I was gonna
so
say.
good.
I got these like piggy bank things, and they look badass. They have like accessories to them of the new show Ninja Turtles that just got released. Michelangelo has like an actual little chain that comes off of his nunchuck,
Nice.
and yeah, they are just. I'll take a picture of them later and post them up, but they just look fucking cool. I've been collecting these Universal Studio Monster piggy banks also, but the black and white versions of them. And I was missing Bride of Frankenstein, so my dad got me that also. Shadai got me the
Awesome.
complete collection of Calvin and Hobbes because I love Bill Watterson, love Calvin and Hobbes.
Jim
That was
is into
that was one of the first things my wife got me when we got together. She bought me that.
Good woman you have there.
Awesome.
Yes.
I know. Oh no.
And my mother got me Peanuts, like a collection of the Peanuts original comics. Those are pretty sweet.
Those are
And
super popular up here because this is. I think he was from the like.
Yeah, he's
Minnesota
from that area.
oh, okay.
area. So
Yeah, I didn't even know. Like, I think I had it on my wish list from a long time ago, Amazon wish list. So somebody, my mom grabbed it off there, got it for me. So it's fucking cool.
thank God for Amazon wish list because that's how I got all my stuff too.
Yeah, exactly. It's so Christmas shopping is so easy now.
Yeah.
We did Kate and I did Pinterest boards this year, and her family basically ignored hers. She was kind of bummed out. I'd have my sister run auxiliary. I'm like, what'd you get her? It's like, here, go on there, get some of this stuff, because her parents totally didn't get anything off of it.
Oh man. And otherwise, I've just been reading a ton of holiday comics, like some for the shows, like Issues with Friends, and some just for my leisure. Read the Harley Quinn Holiday Special, which was really cool. Lobo paramilitary special from the 90s, fucking crazy. And Batman Noël, which if you haven't read that is a great series by Lee Bermejo. Awesome.
That's on my list.
Yes.
I have basically I have a wish list too. And when I was starting to build like a graphic novel library, and I looked at it after I was done. I was like, oh, like 95% of this is Batman, and that's totally on there.
Yeah.
That's
definitely.
actually where I got into Batman for the first time was because of Jim. Because I always liked the movies and the cartoon stuff. I never read Batman comics until I lived with him. And the first thing I read was Long Halloween by Jeff Loeb.
Oh, yeah.
And like
Halloween's
Jim just had a whole
awesome.
bunch of stuff like that. And immediately I was like, all right, well, this is going to continue now. So speaking of comics, I did want to mention, I think Shaddai might have mentioned this one on Issues with Friends a while back. I think Rat Queens.
Mm-hmm.
I found that at the library, so I read volume 1, and it is hilarious.
Yeah.
It's probably one of the best comics I've read in the last couple years. And I just had my wife read it too, and she just absolutely loves it. So if you have not checked it out, you should check it out. Rat Queens. It's great.
Rat Queen.
Who's that by?
I don't remember because I
Right.
took it back.
Rat Queens is. If Shaddai was here, she'd be able to tell me. I can't remember off the top of my head. But the artist on that actually, they had to part ways because of personal things, like with his
Really?
wife and like supposed domestic abuse of sorts, things like that. I mean,
Oh,
it's
shit.
alleged stuff, so I'm not gonna pin him on it or anything, but yeah. So there will be a new artist coming in on Rat Queens for the next, I guess, forever from now on.
That's okay. I mean, the writing itself makes up for it. It was just done so well.
Yes.
I'm gonna look it up and find out who it is. Jim, you can go ahead and talk about your
Yeah, yeah.
Christmas.
What'd you get or what'd you do?
Yeah, most of my stuff was tabletop board game related. And actually, right before Christmas, we had a whole trunk full of crap, mostly Christmas decorations that we needed to donate. So I went over to Goodwill, and we've been kind of staying out of there because every time we go, I end up spending like $50, mostly on stuff for Enver, like books and stuff, because he reads all the time. But I was just like, if you donate, you get 25% off discount coupon. So I went in, I was like, I'll just go in, whatever, no big deal. And then they had one of the best looking and best condition copies of Hero Quest I've ever seen in my entire life in the case. I don't know if you guys know what Hero Quest is.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I couldn't believe it. Like as soon as I saw the box, I was like, this is like in pristine shape. So the assistant let me open it, and it looked like it had like 3 or 4 used Quest pads, and it looked like they bought it unopened, punched it, put the minis together, played it like once or twice, and then ended up donating it. So I had to get it, and I got it for a pretty good price.
Nice.
So
That was before Christmas.
it was a complete set, or it was full, like wasn't missing anything?
100%. I came
Wow.
home and I checked out through the thing, and I was like, nothing's broken, everything's there, all the cards there, all the minis are there. I couldn't believe it. It's just I was bragging about it online immediately.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and then Christmas came, and Katie got me all the ones I wanted. She got me this game Terra Mystica, and then she got one of the smaller ones, is Forbidden Desert, which was just on tabletop. And then I don't know if you guys know Pandemic, but they just came out with, it's like a dice game. It's basically like Pandemic, but they distill it down and whether you just use dice.
Huh.
And we actually ended up playing that at my parents' house with my sister. And it was really easy. And then it was so easy, I questioned it. And then I went home and read the rules and went, oh, we completely forgot to do this one part. And
The
now
part that would have
we
made
played
it
it a
hard.
couple more times and we can't beat it. It's near impossible.
Oh,
my
And it was funny because I had some friends that they got it when it came out a couple weeks ago. And I asked them like, hey, how do you like it? And they're like, yeah, we really like it. And I was like, yeah, we played it wrong the first time. We're like, yeah, we did too. What did you do? And they did the exact same thing we did. Like,
Oh, that's crazy.
completely missed the part to make it harder. Yeah. Which is kind of funny.
I love
Um,
hard games like that, like hard board games where you are probably going to lose more than you win. Like that's a great challenge.
Yeah.
It makes it fun, especially when you're playing with your friends against the whatever the enemy is. And
Yeah.
that's just
Co-op.
those are the best to me, the really challenging ones where you have to work together and all that.
Co-op games too are the best way to break people in that don't play games like that, because you're all working together and you can kind of talk out, what you're going to do. But yeah, this one's really good. But again, yeah, it's difficult. It's not. It seems like it's more difficult than regular Pandemic, and that can be pretty unforgiving sometimes too. Sometimes it's just the luck. I mean, for this is even more the luck of rolling dice. And I feel like sometimes one of the last times we played it, if you get these pluses, you can save them to use event cards. And we didn't get a whole lot of them, so we kind of weren't able to kind of build stuff up. And then right after Christmas, for whatever reason, I decided to go on Craigslist, and I was, I'll just search sometimes I just search board games to see what people have.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy, he was giving out this game Space Hulk. You guys ever heard of Space Hulk, the board game?
No.
Basically, it was first published in 1989, and then it's by Games Workshop. They do the Warhammer 40K, like the Space Marine.
Oh, okay.
Like the miniatures game. And they only print it every couple years, and they print like a whole run of it, and then they're done. So the last time they did it was 2009, and then they did it right before the holidays, and it was bad timing for me. I just backed to Kickstarter, so I didn't have the money to get it. But this guy wanted it for really cheap. But because I just bought Hero Quest, I couldn't justify spending, even though it was a really good price, because usually the game's like $125. I mean, it comes with all the little minis, and they're actually like Warhammer tabletop mini ready. Like you could use them for the tabletop game. But like He'd already put them together, so it was a really good deal. But I talked him into taking like a pile of Magic cards that my friend had gave me and like $30. So I basically got it for like $40.
Nice.
And I met this
Nice.
guy like in it like at a thrift store, and he was a really cool guy, and it's in really good shape, and I just couldn't believe it. And honestly, like Hero Quest and Space Hulk were the two games that I never thought I would own because they usually go for like $150, $200 when they're on like eBay and stuff. And I got them like within 2 weeks of each other. It was insane.
Man.
I can't even believe it.
That's just good luck.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Sweet.
Very cool. Hey, I found out the writer for Rat Queens.
Mm-hmm.
His
We don't
name's
care anymore.
Curtis J. Weib.
Weeby.
I think it's like Croatian or something.
Curtis J. Weeb. Yeah.
Weeb, okay. And then the artist Rock Upchurch, which is probably the coolest name I've ever heard. Rock Upchurch.
Rock Upchurch. That
That's
sounds like
ridiculous.
one of the made-up names in the Mystery Science Theater 3000 and Space Mutiny. Blast Hard Cheese.
He's a great artist, but yeah, that's the one who's no longer going to be on the series.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, they've got a couple others listed also, so I'm assuming that it might be them. They have someone listed as a guest artist, so maybe that's who's doing it, named Tess Fowler.
Yeah.
Or Fowler.
I'm not sure who the new person. It might be her. I don't know, but
Anyway, it's so the concept that they describe it on Wikipedia, and this is from the writer. He describes it as Lord of the Rings meets Bridesmaids.
I'll read
Which
the
is pretty
fuck out of that.
appropriate
That
for
sounds
it.
awesome.
It is great, Jim. This is something that you would love too. What's really cool about it is it's pretty much an all-female cast for the comic. All the characters are female, but it's written in a way that appeals to everybody. So guys are gonna find it just as hilarious as the women do, which is really cool because there's a few comics that Jackie would read that I read too, but there's a lot that she just wouldn't really be that interested in. But this is one that everybody would like, so it's very cool.
what about the Four Daves? Or
The Four Daves.
Yeah.
I forgot about Ogre Dave with the birds in his beard.
Yeah. They are awesome.
Should I get rid of the Blue Jays? Shit.
So
That's great.
anything else holiday wise from either of you guys?
Not really. Nothing nerdy. I mean, holidays are always interesting because both my family and Jackie's family are really unique. Just as an example, we went to Jackie's parents' side's Christmas, and this is about 30-something people in one house. And towards the end of the night, we're getting ready to leave, and we just noticed there's a pair of panties on the floor just amidst everything. So Jackie finds it, and she's like, whose panties are these? Like, what the heck? Nobody's claiming it. Nobody's claiming these panties. And we find out later that it was this this lady, for whatever reason, wrapped her dentures up in this pair of panties and then unwrapped them and just left the panties on the floor.
That went from potentially really sexy to very, very unsexy. When you added dentures to the mix, no, you completely took me out of it.
I think my penis went up inside my body.
Yeah, that's what I was
And
gonna
of
say.
course,
My boner went from an outie to an innie.
One of her uncles, like, when we find it, grabs him, and he's running around the house, like, waving them around. He's yelling, whose panties are these? He's telling everyone to drop their pants.
Wow,
That's just a typical Christmas for us, so.
that's awesome.
I've met that family, and I'm not surprised about any of that. I was at your wedding, so.
Yeah, it was interesting, so.
Fuck, I was in your wedding.
That's right.
And then I was in you.
Oh, that was the reception. We don't talk about it. So, yeah, it's always interesting. There's always something goofy going on with us, so.
Man, so if we're done with the holiday stuff, like, what's our topic for today?
All right, let me.
Spool up the nerd
Yeah.
nerd roulette.
Roll
What's
it
that
up.
word?
Nerd roulette.
That one, yes.
Do we have to wait for the noise?
Yep. Okay. So our topic is, what is our best comic to movie adaptations? So, comics to movies, what do you think is the best adaptations? Or just in general, like, I guess, which ones do you guys like? What do you... We could probably talk about what we... Like, which
Yeah,
ones didn't work either.
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, that's just we can just generalize the topic and just
Yeah.
go completely. Yeah, there's tons we can talk about. Like, I can start with Spawn being one of the worst adaptations because that's one of the first ones I can remember watching and being
Yeah.
like, wow, this is fucking terrible. Even when I watched it as
It's
whatever age I was. God, so bad.
it just outlines Todd McFarlane's just because then he directed it, like it's his thing, and he just
And still suck.
From the beginning, when Melbolgia, God, the fucking like devil himself, he just all that terrible CG. It was like Reptile from Mortal Kombat CG. Like it was bad.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah,
it sucks because I really like Michael Jai White. He's awesome, but
yeah.
that
I
movie's-
think he was fine as Al Simmons, but just with all the
didn't have-
shit, around the movie and the
Nothing to
terrible
work
writing.
with.
Exactly. No, nothing. John Leguizamo as Clown even wasn't bad. He fit the part well, but it's just the bad writing. You can't work around that.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
one of those, at the time, I don't know. I was never really a big Spawn fan. I like the art of it because I think he's a good artist, but
he
like,
was.
I wasn't sure why they made it, you know?
Yeah.
I was just like, this is one that's just, I think it's, the characters and everything are just so bizarre that at the time, I don't think they could have pulled it off, and obviously they couldn't. So
It was just they were all Marvel Comics guys that had grievances, so they pulled out and started Wildstorm Image or whatever.
Yeah.
They fucking Jim Lee, who's excellent, and he was with them, but then he also had Rob Liefeld, who's probably one of the worst comic artists I've ever seen in my entire life. Just so bad. Not even like everything you think when you think of bad 90s comics, it's his fault.
Well,
All his fault.
unfortunately, our guest on next week's show is going to be Rob Liefeld, but I'm pretty sure he's going to back out now. Thanks.
yeah,
Finn.
we probably shouldn't have said that.
I would love to talk to him and be like, why? How many pouches did you need on your leg, and why can't you draw feet? What is the
90s
problem?
did love pouches.
It was.
It's all his fault.
Everything is a
It was
pouch.
all him. Seriously,
Yeah.
it was all him. I mean,
it-
even
the whole thing where it's like women are drawn always showing their breast and their ass at the same time, where it's
Yeah,
like, how
that
is
was
that
awful.
even possible? And then huge-breasted Captain America from Heroes Reborn, man, that is the
I
iconic
remember that.
picture.
I'm
So
hoping that
bad.
people would just like in mass just send him anatomy books just so he could be like, here, this is what people look like. What is your problem? Like he would draw like swords, and you could see the sword would come out of their hand like at this angle, but then the hilt would come out like in this angle. It's like, what is going on? Like you don't even understand angles. Like there, you can go online and look up so many examples of him just being like, whatever.
I'm pretty
I
sure.
remember that Captain America one. He could put like a dinner plate on his chest.
Oh, yeah.
It was a giant barrel chest. It doesn't make
Yeah.
any sense.
Not even like oh wow, he works out a lot. It's like this dude is wearing like a fake chest suit. That's the only way that could be
This
physically
guy was in a
possible.
horrible accident with his bones are where bones shouldn't be.
You know what's weird is you would think, like, if I'm Marvel Comics, and I'm trying to put out like the best possible product, if they brought me that, I'd be like, what the hell is this? Like, this is not what people look like. This looks ridiculous.
And he wonders why he wasn't getting paid or compensated. For
It's
his
like, okay,
work.
who proved that in the first place?
That's a good point. I mean,
Fuck. Yeah, so it's
Ah.
not even just his
Ah.
fault. The people that like were like, okay, let's go ahead and send it to print, or maybe they're like, you know what, just fuck it, let's just do it.
I have an uncle. I have an uncle who actually he knows a lot of people in the industry, and he just I asked him one time, I'm like, how the hell does he even have a job still? And he said it was just people. He knew the right people. That's
Yeah.
basically what it was.
Networking,
he knew
man.
the right people, and he networked, and he just got in there. It didn't matter what his art looked like. It was
You got to give him Deadpool though. Like at least we got Deadpool from that. If you're a Deadpool, fan.
who's a complete ripoff of Deathstroke, like
Yeah.
100% to the
Right.
point where the writer, even when he developed it, knew it was a it was a Deadstroke, and called him Wade Wilson as a
instead
joke.
of
Like,
instead of Slade.
Instead of
Yeah.
Slade Wilson. Yeah.
yeah.
I gotta say
So-
though, out of that, Deadpool is definitely more my favorite character than.
I think Deadpool's popularity was more about after he was done with it. You know what I mean? Like people took
Yeah,
him
that's
and he
true.
took him to a different level. But originally he was just a ripoff of Deathstroke.
Deadpool
Yeah.
is like the combination of Deathstroke and Ambush Bug. Ambush Bug from the DC universe breaks the third wall all the time and all that mess. I don't remember. I don't think he came before Deadpool. I don't know exactly Ambush Bug's history, but if you look back at it now, it's like that's the combination because he's breaking the third wall, but he's also an assassin.
Fourth wall.
Right. I'm sorry. Fourth wall. Yeah.
The numbers are hard.
Numbers. I've been drinking for a little bit, so
Yeah, you're drinking the Scaldis, and that does stuff to you. I know.
yeah. I'm missing a number, but yeah. So combination Ambush Bug and Deathstroke. The end.
The end.
So movies
Insane.
again.
Fade to black.
If we want to go back to that,
Okay, let's
Yeah.
go with. So we talked one that sucked. What's one that was really good? I'm gonna throw out Watchmen was probably one of the best adaptations.
Dude,
I agree.
And that gets such a bad rap, and it's mostly because of people who just hate Zack Snyder and they have an agenda against him. And I call myself all the time. I call myself a Zack Snyder apologist. I totally don't think he's a bad filmmaker at all. He's really good.
It makes good stuff.
And, yeah, Watchmen was totally like, as far as Watchmen goes, like it was something that was written specifically to be told in comics. And it really shouldn't have been able to translate as well as it did, and he did a good job.
Yeah, I don't think anyone could have done better. And honestly, that's probably Watchmen is the truest adaptation you will probably ever see of any comic.
yeah.
And like you said, yeah, the initial problem with it is, it was written in a way that it's not supposed to be a movie. I mean, he found
Alan
a way
Moore
to
did
do
it on
to
purpose.
Yeah, he did, the best that anyone could possibly do with it. But people are gonna still see it and say, it moves too slow, things like that. And it's like,
No.
yeah, but it's literally the comic turned into motion, So I mean, for what it is, I think it's absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite movies of all time, honestly.
And if you're a purist and you add the Black Fleet stuff in there, like you can get, I think it's the Blu-ray version has it where you can watch it all the way through that has that added to it.
Yeah,
Because it was released as a separate like animated film or something. And
Yep.
the biggest change that people were complaining about initially, at least, was the ending not being the giant octopus squid thing, and
I was
instead
totally
being Dr.
okay with
Manhattan.
them changing
it
it.
makes more sense that way. Yeah, at
It,
least
it
on
really
film.
streamlines it.
Right.
So I'm not
It
gonna
just-
lie,
it-
and I might lose some listeners for this, but when I read Watchmen originally, I loved it up until that point with the squid, and I was like, "What? A squid?
Yeah,
So that's
I mean,
stupid."
I get it, but because if you don't have the island stuff, you can't have the squid because there's a whole thread that goes through that kind of explains the whole, people being taken to that island. It was like some artist retreat or whatever. But it totally streamlines and it gives more to Dr. Manhattan and more motivation for him to leave and stuff. And I think it's an improvement, honestly.
It makes more sense for especially the film world because it keeps it more central on the characters themselves as opposed to adding in another segment to it being that
Right.
giant squid. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, it's great, and the casting was perfect for it too.
Oh, totally.
Especially the comedian. Holy crap, man, he pulled it off so well. He's honestly one of my favorite characters out of like any movie. And someday I will be him for Halloween. Damn it! One of these days.
I've done Rorschach. I did Rorschach.
I know,
the
I
year that
remember.
came out. Yeah, it was awesome.
That's cool. I want to be Dr. Manhattan, penis and all. I'm just gonna go out.
Perfect. I just big blue schlong.
I'm just gonna be
maybe
Dr.
not
Manhattan's
big,
penis.
but blue schlong.
Just his penis.
Yeah.
When he was giant in Vietnam.
You're just dressed up like a blue dick.
Just blowing Viet Cong away. I'm gonna go on record too, talking about Zack Snyder. I will defend Man of Steel all day long.
Yeah.
And I actually even enjoyed Sucker Punch. So
I was gonna say that
Fuck
too.
you.
I liked Sucker Punch.
I've never seen Sucker Punch. I haven't seen Man of Steel either, but I've heard so much about it that I don't think I would like it if I saw it.
I
But
liked it.
only because I'm a purist when it comes to Superman as a character, not necessarily storylines or anything.
you don't want me to. That's a whole nother episode. So I won't get into that. But I will defend that movie all the time.
Okay.
I will say this, as far as because the big problem that people have with Superman, spoilers, is that he killed somebody at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
And I'm actually okay with it. One, because that kind of sets that line where he's like, okay, I just found the line, I can't cross this line again, kind of thing. But I get why people are like, oh, that's not cool. He never, Superman would never kill somebody. But
Which is wrong.
I honestly think DC's best line to me is Injustice, which is all stems from Superman killing somebody.
Yeah.
And I honestly think it's like their most dynamic story. I think it's really interesting and it's super dark. And I think that's kind of the tone that they're going for with these movies anyway. So I think in that kind of context, if that's what they're going for, like, I think that sets it up really well, and I'm totally fine with it.
I will say the Superman doesn't kill law. It doesn't exist. I mean, and when he began, before he could actually fly, when he was just a guy in like a strongman costume, basically jumping from building he could jump really high, and he was an allegory for immigrants, and he basically was just beating up like landlords who were like slumlords. Like he literally would just throw people off buildings. Like he killed people all the time. Not to mention like. The only reason that they stopped doing that was when they slapped the comics code and everything, and they had all those rules that they had to basically neuter comics, and they had to get rid of all the horror comics and all this. The Dr. Warner was trying to say that, all these inmates were reading comic books, and that's why they were crazy and all that shit. So, if you know your comic book history, you know that that's not true. The whole Superman doesn't kill is total bullshit.
Well, probably Batman too. I mean, Purple Glove Batman had
He
or
fucking
had
used guns all the time.
Yeah,
He was
exactly.
just shooting people.
Guns.
Yeah.
So,
But even in the movies, and Joseph, you can talk about this because BS Excluded just did a podcast recently about
Batman Returns.
Batman Returns, and he's killing everybody in that movie.
He kills more
Batman
people
kills
than
so many
either of
people.
the villains, and he is such a side character. It's like, who's the actual villain? Catwoman, just fucking entertaining. Penguin also, he's a great character, but he doesn't kill as many people as Batman single-handedly does.
Batman kills a shit ton of people.
He is the villain in that movie.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Like, I never even thought about that as a kid, like when I saw it for the first time, and I don't know why I never thought of it, but I was listening to that episode and I'm like, holy shit, yeah, he kills a shit ton of people in that. That's so
The way
weird.
he punches the people, or like the guy at the stilts, he flambés with the fucking rocket boosters.
Yes.
Like, that guy's dead. That guy's fucking dead. He's dead. There's no way.
And he
that
tried to
survived.
kill Catwoman. He pushed her off a fucking building. She was lucky that she landed in cat litter. I don't know. It was
He
crazy.
blew someone up, didn't he?
That
Like, someone
movie-
exploded.
That movie's entertaining, but there's just the way they do Catwoman doesn't make
Yeah,
any sense.
well-
She like gets bit by cats and then she gets special cat
That's
powers.
that's
Like,
what I
the
said.
fuck's
Like the
going
cats
on?
were trying to eat her or something, and she's like, now it seems like she would be anti-Catwoman after being
Right.
trying to be eaten by cats.
And when you
Cat-
get rid of the cats,
Your
something.
Cat Chow woman.
Yeah.
for the record,
At least
my
it didn't-
cat
at least it
bites
wasn't-
me all the time, and I
At least
don't
it was,
have
so
any
you're Catwoman then, according to Tim Burton, you're Catwoman.
Yeah, transform
guess.
now. Do it.
I mean, I did wake up in
Be
latex
sexy.
the other day, but
Yeah, put the costume on right now. God damn it.
But Tim
Yeah.
Burton's gone on record of saying that he doesn't like Batman. He likes his villains, and that shows
Yeah.
so readily in those movies.
yeah,
Right.
you
But he
get
was more
zealous.
interested in just. I mean, the comics do it now too, where they have that line where like, yeah, Joker's crazy, sure, but you're dressing up as a bat and beating up people, trying to work out your parents' issues. Like, you're just as crazy. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
The
who's-
Killing Joke highlighted that really well in the end.
Killing
Oh,
Joke.
so well. Yep.
So good. Yeah. Alan Moore again. Let's just talk about Alan Moore the whole time.
So
Alan Moore.
as the Killing Joke, do you think that Batman killed the Joker at the end? What are your thoughts
I don't
on
know.
that?
it's so ambiguous. I don't know.
Yeah, it is. Grant
I-
Morrison has gone on. I mean, he said that obviously Batman kills the Joker. That's not coming from the original source, not coming from Alan Moore, of course, but Grant Morrison thinks that Joker is killed at the end. That's why he stops laughing, or that's why it trails off.
It's like the ending of Inception. There's no set answer, so it's just left to your interpretation. Or Taxi Driver. You don't know whether that ending's reality or not. Or American Psycho. You don't know was he really killing people? Was it all in his mind? Things like that are left ambiguous, and it's up to the viewer to decide. So I don't know. It's left really vague, and I didn't even think of it until I read about it like on some blog, and I was like, oh yeah, that he totally probably maybe did. I don't know.
Probably maybe. Yeah,
it makes it interesting. Yeah.
That would be a great movie too, though, if they ever did that, but kept it. If Zack Snyder did it and kept it like close to the source material, if not identical to it, then that would be an awesome movie. Killing Joke. I feel like one day that'll happen. It might not be in my lifetime, but it'll happen one day.
At least they'll adapt part of it. I think there's just too much good Joker stuff in there to leave out. If they're gonna flesh out the Joker again, but not just have his. Because I mean, his origin story is pretty vague, and there's a lot of it you don't even know. Like you don't even know if that's true or not.
Yeah, exactly.
It's been retconned before too. So
I like that about the Joker because it's like he just tells people different things almost every time someone asks, so you never really know what the real thing is. You can speculate, but I don't think anything's been set in stone, and that's great. That makes his character more mysterious to you and more interesting. And
they had a bit of that in Dark Knight. So
in the New 52, like when they like reset everything, they did keep the Killing Joke as aside from Joker death, of course, but they kept it where Barbara Gordon got crippled and all that.
Yep.
Somehow, though, she recovered almost instantly, according to this timeline, and now she's back as Batwoman or Batgirl. So
yeah, I'm actually reading Batgirl right now, and
it's really good.
It references the Killing Joke a lot throughout the entire
well, that'd be a pretty traumatic part of her life.
Well, that's what makes it interesting is the whole time, every time she gets into a fight, so you're seeing like her inner dialogue the entire time, and someone pulls a gun on her, and at one point, and she just kind of freezes up because she's like remembering what happens, and then eventually she runs into like a henchman that just kind of happened to be in the background when he was there, and she realizes who he is, and it affects her throughout the entire series, and I think that was really cool, and it made it a lot more interesting.
Yeah, that was Gail Simone on that series most of the time. Yeah.
Very good.
If there ever was a time that I felt really uncomfortable reading a comic, it was during that sequence when he came
when he was taking
like
the photos and
and he's making Gordon watch it. Look, oh Jesus, that affected me in a way that was
when he strips Gordon down and like all those little dwarf like cupids or and it's such a weird story, but it's fucking awesome. And Alan Moore's Swamp Thing also is great. They didn't wipe that in the New 52 either because it's so good. They did change it up a little bit. I won't go into that because that's going to be a whole nother episode in and of itself. But okay, Swamp Thing as a series, did you guys watch that at all? Or the cartoon? Either one?
I watched the cartoon and I've seen the first movie. I never actually read the comics much, but they've got them all at our library right now, and they're on my list of stuff to read.
Before Alan Moore had it was more just like, a monster, like a typical monster comic, right?
Well, I think so. But it was the guy himself, Alec Holland. He actually did turn into Swamp Thing. Whereas when Alan Moore took over, it was more of the swamp itself had just the idea that it was a man. Yeah, it was a sentient thing, and it thought that it was Alec Holland, but it never really was a man to begin with.
Didn't they do it to where that was the same swamp that spawned Solomon Grundy too, where like he came from that same swamp? I feel like I remember the connection
so.
there.
I couldn't quote or cite any issue specifically, but I think you're right.
Yeah. I love Solomon Grundy.
Solomon Grundy's awesome. Yeah, but Swamp Thing had originally come from, I think, Vertigo. So
right,
yeah. So I guess when they would have tied it back to the DC universe, then they probably threw Solomon Grundy in there as well. You're probably right.
Yeah.
So what other movies like comic book adaptations?
When Chris said the topic, the first one that came to mind was Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah, I wanted to get into Scott Pilgrim just since it's not a superhero comic.
Right.
Because there's not a whole lot of non-superhero comics that get made into movies. There's really only a few.
30 Days of Night also.
There is
30
30 Days of Night. Yep.
That's another one, man.
It's a
God
good
damn,
one.
That's awesome.
Actually,
We'll come back to that.
let's say for whatever reason at our New Year's party last night that came up and we were talking about 30 Days of Night and
That's really like.
I just picked up the volume 1 comic at a bookstore the other day, so I let some people borrow that. So yeah, that is a good one. But Scott Pilgrim,
Yes.
Scott Pilgrim.
I love Scott Pilgrim.
I had so much fun seeing that in the theater. I remember that was one of my wife and I really, really were just like, yeah.
I don't know if I have ever laughed so hard at a movie in my life.
I have to pee on her.
God.
So good.
Bread makes you fat?
So, yeah, that movie is so
Everything
quotable
was
and
so funny.
Yeah.
yeah.
Michael
Hey,
Cera.
you're
that's
right, man.
Next to Arrested Development, that's probably his best role, I think.
Michael Cera? Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
He was perfect for it. Everybody in that movie was so good. I mean, everyone, especially, the guy that played Wallace Wells, it was Kieran McCulkin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man, he was hilarious.
Chris Evans.
Freaking
Awesome.
Chris Evans.
Chris
so
Evans,
much
man.
shit.
Chris
He
Evans
was great.
is so good in that movie.
He had some of the best lines of the whole movie, especially when they were filming that little like scene that was supposed to be part of his movie, where he's like something about like the first click you hear is me hanging up, and the second is me pulling the trigger.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh
And
shit!
it's, I've been thinking about Brandon Routh in that movie
Brandon
a lot
Routh,
too.
he was
Uh,
great.
Because we've been watching season 3 of Arrow, and he's in that, and he's so
That's right.
good in that too. He's so good. Period.
Wait, who does he play
Um,
in that? I haven't caught up on Arrow.
He's Ray Palmer, who ends up being Adam.
Yeah, the Adam.
eventually.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, it is awesome. He's
Okay.
really good.
He was
Cool.
in Chuck for a while too, and he was really good in that too.
I never
Yeah.
saw Chuck.
Chuck's great. If you haven't seen it, you should watch it.
Hmm.
At
That
least
show
the
went on
first
for a
few
little too
seasons.
long. Yeah, that show went for a little too long, but it ended up being pretty good.
Yeah.
But yeah, Scott Pilgrim, as far as like an adaptation of the thing, there's a lot of it. I mean, it's different. It's different enough, but I think most of that is because he hadn't even finished the comic while they were doing the
Yeah,
like,
he
filming.
was finishing the last book simultaneously as they were filming.
So he let
So-
Edgar Wright kind of have run away with it too.
Yeah, for a while there was no idea of how it was going to end. And originally it was going to end differently in the movie than it did in the comics. So originally he was going to end up with Knives in the movie and Ramona in the comics. And kind of last minute they changed it and they're like, okay, he's going to end up with Ramona in both. Which I think was probably the better choice because it wouldn't make a whole lot of sense that he was going for Ramona the whole time and then
Ends up
ends
with
up like, I'll go back to Knives.
yeah.
Yeah,
Sort of.
Knives has her function in the story, but yeah, her going back to her would be weird.
Did you guys have either of you read the whole graphic novel series?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
a
we
few
bought the
times.
box set.
Oh
Yeah.
man,
They're
I haven't
awesome.
read it all yet.
so
yeah, I what I did read of it was fucking great. Like Brian Lee O'Malley. What? Brian Lee
O'Malley.
O'Malley? Yeah.
Yes.
That's,
Asian Canadian Brian Lee O'Malley.
Asian Canadian. What a great combination.
Asian Canadian.
Yes.
Yes.
I want to go to Canada just because of that guy, really. Like he's
God,
fucking
I met him
awesome.
Really-
at Comic-Con. He's
Really?
so cool. Yeah, I've got he autographed Scott Pilgrim Volume 1 for me and then his newer one, Seconds.
Tell me
He
he's a nice
autographed both of
guy.
those.
Like tell me he's a sweet guy.
Oh yeah, he's great.
Ah,
He's so cool.
he has to be. Oh man.
he is.
Now I have to meet him.
All Canadians are. They're super nice people.
They have to be. They're from
That's what I
Canada.
would assume stereotypically.
Requirement.
What a good
Yeah.
stereotype.
We're all really nice. Hey,
You know what's really cool is his Instagram account is really fun to watch. He does a lot of just crazy stuff. He does a lot of drawings and takes a lot of goofy photos and things like that and posts it up there. And it's actually really entertaining. He's probably the only person on Instagram I actually pay any attention to. Sorry, Jim.
I just take pictures of board games. It doesn't matter.
BS
And today of today of French Toast Crunch because that's what I had for dinner. French Toast Crunch is back, and I'm so excited.
Cinnamon
God damn it,
Toast
ate
Crunch,
Christmas
man.
Crunch the other morning and got super sick. Fuck Christmas Crunch. And it fucked up the
What-
roof of my mouth.
What is
Oh, the-
Christmas
the-
Crunch?
The
Like Captain Crunch Christmas?
The Captain Crunch one, yeah.
Yeah, god damn it.
Oh, I mean, you should expect that when eating Captain Crunch. It's gonna fuck up the roof of your mouth. You can't
but it does.
avoid
Oh,
that.
it got me so sick too. I was pissed.
Wait, how does it make you sick? Or how did it make you sick?
I ate it. I ate a huge bowl of it. I haven't had it for like years. And I find it at the grocery store. I'm like, okay, well, I haven't had this for a long time. I'm gonna eat like a bowl 5 times too big of Christmas Crunch. It's like half the box.
As one would, yeah.
45 minutes later, I'm at work, and I'm just like, oh shit, and I like run for the bathroom, and I don't walk out for an hour and a half. And by that point, I'm like, well, now I gotta go home.
At least tell me your shit was green and red. Is that?
Yes.
It was just jingle bells the whole time.
Yeah.
It crunched.
There you go. Go on record of saying that your shit was holiday themed.
It was holiday themed, yes.
All right. You heard it here
Yeah.
first, folks.
God.
Probably.
Yeah, I'm gonna steer clear of Christmas Crunch. Fucking Captain
I haven't
Crunch,
eaten Captain Crunch in years because of that. Because it does tear up the
'Cause it
roof of
Cuts
your
your mouth up, man.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
That's not
They
a
should
good
fucking
thing.
eat
work
too
on
many-
that freaking box.
You eat too many Skittles and it like dries your mouth out and makes it all shitty. Yeah.
Okay, I haven't had that
Makes your
problem
mouth
yet.
shitty. No, I
If you
know
take like handfuls of Skittles and just shove them in your mouth, and it seriously it fucks with your saliva.
yeah,
and,
like
like,
the
cuts your mouth.
It's like it's not even salty at all, but somehow it absorbs all of your saliva and then turns it into sugar, and then you just can't deal with it anymore. And your mouth is so dry, but sweet, but dry. Mm-mm.
I like it. I'm gonna have to get some Skittles. I'd rather have a spree. Fuck it. I'm going for spree.
Oh, Spree are awesome.
Sprees are good.
Airheads.
This is totally off
Certain
topic.
flavors
but I
of
have
Airheads. Yep.
a really fond memory of being like.
You say
It was like-
totally off topic, like we're on topic at all. We're talking about
We're not
candy. We're
anyway.
supposed to be
We're
talking
not
about
even-
movies.
not
I
even
have this
in the
really fond memory
ballpark.
of being 8 years old and eating a shit ton of spree on Halloween and playing Super Metroid with my babysitter at the time.
Like she
Who was actually
helping
my
you?
friend's teenage brother, so he wasn't really much of a babysitter. So
Mm.
yeah, I had a babysitter when I was 8.
So let's talk about Alan Moore adaptations again, because League of Extraordinary Gentlemen,
That is the worst
Was-
movie ever.
such a pile of shit.
This is the movie that got Sean Connery to quit Hollywood.
Yeah, he quit
Yeah.
acting because it was so
Wow.
bad.
Yeah.
Because he was offered The Matrix and he was like, I don't get it. And then he was offered like Lord of the Rings.
He was
and
offered
he's
Lord
like,
of
I
the
don't
Rings,
get
and
it.
He's like, I don't know what this is.
So then he's like, he finally gets something. He's like, I don't get it, but I keep getting offered these things, so I'll do it. And it was League of Extraordinary fucking Gentlemen. Like, ugh.
For
No wonder
shame.
Alan Moore hates Hollywood. Like,
Yeah. You know what? I read most of Volume 1 of League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, and I honestly couldn't get into it. I know it's
pretty
regarded
slow.
as a good one, and like if you check any like list of like 100 best comics and stuff, it's on there. But I don't get it. I didn't see the appeal to it, and I like most of his stuff, but I couldn't get into that one.
It's pretty slow compared to the rest of them, but only because we're not focused on like superhero characters that we're familiar with anymore. Well, I guess
That's
or
true.
Watchmen, which is kind of a whole new set of characters, but it's an interesting premise. League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, it's a good premise to it as well, but it is a lot slower paced. So
Wasn't
you kind
the
of have
Invisible Man raping people in that one?
to. I don't remember. Like I haven't read
think
it
he
in a
you're
did
long
thinking
rape
of
time.
Hollow
somebody.
Man with Kevin Bacon.
No. Well, Kevin Bacon doesn't need any explanation because he's Kevin Bacon, so
He's
we
Kevin
forgive.
Bacon.
Well, here's a kind of a loose Hollywood. I mean, kind of a loose like a movie comic book adaptation, Ninja Turtles, because we had I think the cartoon. Yeah, the cartoon came before the movie, but the movie was kind of a mix of the cartoon and the comic. So loosely, it's based on the
Yeah.
comics, but the movie was fucking great. The comics are like really gritty and hardcore initially, whereas the series was
love the
completely
original comics.
lighthearted.
Yeah.
But it's kind of a mix, best of both worlds, and you get those movies, which were the first two were great.
They're both good, even though we got
first one
fucking
especially.
Token
First
Razor for
one,
no reason.
Yeah. Second one, I mean, it's more
So
playful and just like, crazy shit everywhere. The first one was really serious and awesome because of it. Third one, I mean, we already raped that one on our Cinefreak, but it was not good. But the first two, awesome, as adaptations of comics.
Even as a 10-year-old, I knew the third one was a piece of shit.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I remember
that tells
hating
you
it also.
something,
I
man.
saw that in the theater when it came out. I don't remember how old I was, but it was just so boring. It didn't have any of the iconic characters except for the Turtles and Casey Jones, but even he had a very small role in it, so it just wasn't good.
yeah. No, the first one's amazing. The first one's so good. And there's so much about the first one that just like when I remember as a kid first seeing when Shredder shows up and he's gonna talk to the kids, he's like, just I'm your family. Like I just was like I got chills, and I still get chills every time I watch that sequence. It's crazy.
Yeah, I would have been part of that gang as a kid.
Shit, yeah, that place was so fun. You can hang out with Sam Rockwell and get cigarettes and play bass.
He was a gang leader, Sam Rockwell.
Yeah.
All you gotta do is skateboard and just have fun and occasionally steal stuff. I would have done that.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, if
Totally be
I'm
in the
just
Foot
stealing
Clan.
small TVs from old women, I don't care. I'll do it. Fuck. If I can play video
Coolers,
games.
like they steal a cooler from someone. What the fuck?
Oh god. Transformers was kind of the same way. Like the first movie was there's some elements of the cartoon in it.
Yeah.
The first movie, if anyone that knows me knows I hate Michael Bay with a passion. He
Who
is
doesn't?
a son of a bitch.
If you like Michael Bay, just go ahead and stop listening to us because you're an idiot.
Like if anyone reads the blog I do, you've read the interview, quote unquote, between me and Michael Bay, which is a lot of fun. So if you haven't read it, you should read it. But anyway, I love the first Transformers movie. I think that one's really good. I mean, the cartoon, but the first Michael Bay one was good too. I think he did really well. I don't know what the hell happened with the second one, and from there it just went downhill, and I won't even watch the fourth one. So
I saw the second one in theaters, and
you walked out, didn't you?
we almost did. And I'm not a person that gets. Okay, let me put it to you this way: when the movie Freddy Got Fingered came out, I saw that shit in theaters, and I didn't walk out from that, okay? So I'm not easily offended. I nearly walked out of Transformers 2 as soon as those stupid racist twins opened their stupid mouths and were saying shit. And he's like, oh, I wanted a character that's like Jar Jar Binks. And then they got him saying stuff like, oh, you're a pussy. Like, do you really want a 4-year-old saying that to someone? Like, that's their role model and stuff. And they were racist. They were the most offensively racist characters I've ever seen since like putting on blackface. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and not even that, just like even besides that, just the stupid idea of giving Devastator balls.
Yeah, man.
That was
all
the dumbest
pee
thing.
jokes.
That was
like,
the most like kindergarten joke I've ever seen in a movie. It's so stupid.
Bumblebee popping out his fuel, his oil filter, the pee on. Like, what the fuck, man? Do you not understand what robots are? So dumb.
Did Transformers start as toys or comics first?
I think
Toys.
Yeah. And then the
what it
comics
was
came to
is
kind of justify it.
it actually was. There was two different Japanese toy lines that Hasbro got a hold of, and they married them together because they were both transforming, like from vehicles to robots.
Mm-hmm.
And then they went to Marvel Comics and they said they got some Marvel Comics writers and they got them to write a storyline to marry the two. And then they came out with the cartoon. And the cartoon basically, like, as cynical as it is, it was a giant commercial to sell the cartoon.
But it
sell
was
the
so
toys.
good.
But they did a good job because they got good writers to actually write the stupid things. So.
That's just
Especially
like
the
a
movie.
Just
the cartoon.
the movie, yeah, fucking awesome.
So good.
The animated one.
Yeah.
Also, Dino Riders was the same thing though. It was just made to produce the toys, but those toys were the best fucking toys. Even to this day, if I could get a hold of one of those T-Rexes with the main villain on it, like that would be awesome. I would feel like my life. That's on my bucket list. Now I have to get one. I don't care if I have to kill somebody for it. Just give me one of those fucking T-Rexes.
I have two toys like that I still hold over my parents that they never got me for Christmas because I'm a spoiled brat. It's the Technodrome because they never got me the Technodrome.
Oh, the spinning
and they never got me. Yeah, and they never got me the real Ghostbusters Firehouse. And I bring it up all the time. I'm an asshole.
You spoiled asshole. I don't think I even had a base at all. I just had the toys. Like they didn't have homes.
Yeah.
They were just all wandering the streets.
Yep.
They had no base.
What I would do is I would make superhero teams out of all of my characters because their vehicle would be this giant like it was a remote control, but it was wired, so the remote was like this and it was actually wired to it, but it was a fire engine that had a real working ladder.
Mm-hmm.
The ladder would go up and it would extend and it would go around. So I would take all my best action figures and make like a superhero team, and it was always Michelangelo, Robin, which it was the Robin that was from the Batman Returns line of action figures, and he looked like the comic book because Robin ended up not being in the movie even though he originally was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
So he looked like the comic Robin. And then it was Wolverine, the blue and white, and then like it was always like I think Egon was always in the team because they needed a brainy guy or whatever, and I would put them all on the fire engine and we drive around, and then like my parents had this they use it as a bookcase, but apparently it used to be an entertainment center, and it was cool because in one of the top shelves it had like this gold like almost like a railing. And then Robin had a grappling hook that went on his back, and then it would shoot out if you hit it. So you could shoot it and then hit it, and then he'd go up the grappling hook. And that's what I used to do all the time instead of having play sets. I would play on the furniture, and I wish I had the Technodrome.
I had.
That just reminded me of something. This is off topic kind of, but since you were talking about action figures, does anyone remember that Punisher action figure that? It was almost like a cap gun. Like you pulled down the little thing on his back, and it would make like the little, like really sharp, like gunfire kind of noise. Like basically like a cap gun.
Did you have to put those little caps inside of him to do it, or
Like
I don't
the
remember.
paper thing.
yeah?
I don't remember. I remember I picked it up from a garage sale when I was a little kid, and I think my parents ended up taking it away. So yeah, you probably had to put those things in it.
I had one of
But-
those AT-ATs from Star Wars, and that was pretty much my base for everything. I remember my grandma got it at a garage sale because it was missing the door on the
door would
frame of
always
it.
get missing.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
it's a loose part. So I was like, oh well, it doesn't matter. Like I'm a kid, I don't care. But that was my Ninja Turtles base for a while. Was in the AT-AT. And it was just
I had a
combining those
shoebox.
worlds. Those and Legos, I would make bases out of Legos because I didn't have I didn't have the Castle Grayskull. I didn't have fucking the Ghostbusters Firehouse. I didn't have the Ninja Turtles sewer system. So I just had to make shit, which mostly as a kid was just like they were shaped like a house. They were big blocks. It was something for the people to be inside. So that was enough
Yeah.
for me.
If you are interested in Transformer comics at all, read All Hail Megatron. It is the best
Oh.
Transformers comic out there. And I brought it up on Issues with Friends, which was one of BS Excluded's other podcasts. And this was a long time ago. This was like
Yeah.
towards the beginning of the year, and they read the first issue on there. And you guys seem to really like it.
Yeah, that was fucking cool. I haven't finished the series yet.
Oh man, it gets
but
so good.
the first issue alone was great. Basically, the Decepticons are taking over the world. I don't know how it's going to end up, but the Autobots have been essentially defeated and they're in recovery while the Decepticons are back on Earth and just kind of taking over, and it's fucking cool.
It's so good. Honestly, the dialogue's really good. The story is really dynamic, and the way I described it to Joseph originally was it seems like as if Joss Whedon handled the Transformers and then wrote the comic. It's just so good, and like the ensemble's handled really well. The characters are done well, and there's even some changes to the typical personalities of some of them, but for the better. Like like Megatron realizes Starscream is actually good at what he does, but he still thinks he's like naive and doesn't really take him seriously, even though he knows he's like a good warrior. And like some of the others, like Cup is done really well, where he's like this old general and he's kind of a dick because he knows what he's doing, and he's got like an elite squad of Autobots, you know, like almost like a Black Ops kind of team. It's just done so well. So if you guys haven't read that, you should check it out. It's so good.
Yeah, there's a guy I remember from the first issue. He's looking at a picture of his bride, like his wife or his bride to be or something, and you're like, oh, that's so sweet. And then that's just a fucking foreshadowing of his ultimate demise, which comes at the hands of the Decepticons. And then it's like
kills the shit out of everybody.
Yeah, he's just so unimportant to everything, but you feel for him because he's just obliterated by the Decepticon jet force. It's awesome.
Oh my god.
Yes, that was a great series.
It's amazing.
Also, on Transformers comic books, read any of at least the original Transformers and G.I. Joe comics. Like, those are awesome crossovers.
Yeah, the crossovers are good.
Yes.
The only ones I've read are it was Transformers and Avengers. I don't remember exactly what happened in them.
What?
I
didn't even know
had a
there
couple of
was
them.
one.
Yeah.
I don't remember that one.
Holy shit. I gotta read that.
I know Godzilla's crossed over with like the Avengers and shit.
Nice.
Oh man.
All right, man.
We could probably do a whole episode about crossovers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's save it. Let's save it.
My penis,
make sure
my
I add
penis,
that
and
to
your
our list.
penis.
Sword fight.
What?
On that
man.
note,
let's get to part 2. Who are we going to talk about fighting?
All right.
Yeah, let's
Let
find out.
me check. And we'll find out who is going to be part 2.
Battle to the death.
I hope it's Battle
As I drink more beer.
I forgot to open
Oh, but it's
it.
a Batman. Like a version of, because we have like 4 different versions of Batman on there.
Yeah, we didn't really.
Oh god. All right, guys. So our next Nerdocalypse is going to be Michael Myers from Halloween versus Nicolas Cage.
Oh shit!
Can we do Michael Myers? Never mind.
The comedian.
Oh my god.
I don't even.
It's going to be amazing.
I can't even.
No. Let's go
right.
with let's go with the horror movie icon. Let's do it.
I want you guys to know
So
there's going to be so many Nick Cage jokes in this episode. It's going to be fantastic. So make sure you listen. It's going to be great. I promise.
All right, man.
I swear on Jim's
So
mustache.
if you have an idea who would win in that ridiculous fight, you should probably go on our Facebook. It's facebook.com/Nerds on Tap podcast. We love to hear from you. You should
Definitely. We had
contribute.
some participation this last time. It was a lot of fun talking with people about the show and about some of the stuff. Especially we were talking about resolutions and like nerdy resolutions and stuff like that. And we had a big conversation going there.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely hit up our Facebook page and any kind of comment you want, even if you want to leave some hate comments or want to
I would
troll
love
us.
to hear hate.
Please.
You guys are ugly and stupid, and I hate you.
It's fun.
It'll be. We'll quote you on the show, just because hate mail is exciting.
Yeah, we'll do it. If you write us hate mail, we will read it on the show.
But don't do it just to
I
get read,
promise.
because then you're an asshole.
Yeah, we're not gonna say your name. We're just
You
gonna
actually have to hate us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to replace your
pretend.
name with Nicolas Cage every time.
Yeah.
Nicolas Cage wrote it and said, "I hate Chris's stupid face. I saw you in Target, man."
Nick Cage, I know where you live, you son of a bitch.
That's true.
All right,
All right.
All
Well,
right,
I
guys.
think that's it for tonight.
this
That's
has been
it. So we will see you later.
episode 3.
Episode 3. That's a wrap. So I'm Chris.
Let's move on to part B. Oh, sorry. You're Chris.
I am Chris. I just found this out. I'm Chris.
And your. I always go last.
Who are you?
I always
Jim.
go last.
I'm Jim. I think.
Yeah, I'm
We
Joseph.
need more of this.
I'm Joseph still, or less maybe.
So that's a wrap, guys. We will see you next time. Cheers, nerds.
See you later. Cheers. Wolverine.
Where did the Wolverine? Wolverine.
Because I saw him. Right
There it
there.
is. That's why.
Yes, that's why I said that. I didn't just say it.
This was Nerds on Tap. If you like what you saw or heard, make sure you follow us on that Twitter thing that all the kids are talking about at nerds_on_tap. And don't actually write the word underscore. That's not how Twitter works. And of course, we are on that Facebook thing, facebook.com/nerdsontap podcast. Thanks for listening. Nerds on Tap is part of the BS Excluded Network and the Slurred Nerd blog on Tumblr.